To be able to understand climate change, we need to understand climate. What is it? How does it work? What is the difference between weather and climate? In this short video, we'll explain what climate is, how our climate works, and how different factors affect our climate. First of all, let's answer the question of what is the difference between weather and climate. Weather is the elements we see daily, such as temperature, rain and wind. These can change hour by hour and day by day. Climate, on the other hand, looks at how the weather changes over a long period of time, typically around 30 years. Scientists have been able to define climate zones around the world. Here in the UK, we have a temperate climate. That is neither especially hot nor cold, wet nor dry, when compared to other climates. Ours is a very different climate to that in the Sahara, for example, which is known as arid, because throughout the year the weather is dry and hot. Scientists have to look at how the atmosphere interacts with the oceans, ice sheets, land masses and vegetation. These different interactions create a climate system, and these interactions, as well as the composition of the atmosphere itself, create a very complex system. The sun also drives our climate. Sunlight provides energy which heats the Earth. Without the Earth's atmosphere and certain gases, our climate would be very different to what it is now. The atmosphere stops the heat from escaping into space. If it didn't do this, our planet would be a very cold place indeed. Certain gases allow the sun's energy through, but stop it from escaping back into space, acting like a greenhouse. That's why it's called the greenhouse effect. The gases responsible for this effect, such as water vapour, carbon dioxide and methane, are called greenhouse gases. Scientists explain the heat-trapping effects of greenhouse gases more than 150 years ago. They discovered that, without the greenhouse effect, the Earth would be about 30 degrees Celsius cooler, making it uninhabitable to most forms of life. Greenhouse gases are so effective at keeping the Earth warm that any changes will affect the Earth's temperature. For more information about our weather,
Okay guys, let's talk about weather. Basically, weather is the daily condition of the Earth's atmosphere. Weather is produced by the interaction of several factors, which include heat, air pressure, winds, and moisture. Let's briefly look at each one of those factors. Heat, transferred from the sun, is absorbed by the Earth and spread through the atmosphere. Air temperature varies from place to place because the sun's rays strike the Earth at different angles. Air pressure is the measure of the force of the air pressing down on the Earth's surface. Air pressure depends on the density of the air. Denser air exerts more pressure than less dense air. Air pressure on the Earth can vary considerably from location to location due to unequal heating of the atmosphere. These air pressure differences cause the movement of air, which we call wind. Finally, the amount of moisture in the air, called relative humidity, also influences weather. Moisture in the atmosphere condenses, causing clouds to develop and precipitation to fall to the Earth. So, have you come up with the difference between weather and climate? I said earlier that weather is the daily condition of the Earth's atmosphere. But what about climate? Well, for most of us, climate means a location is hot, cold, wet, or dry. You see, climate is the average weather conditions for a specific region over an extended period of time. The climate of any place is determined by two main factors: temperature and precipitation. The Earth is divided into three major climate zones based on the average temperature of these zones. They are the tropical, temperate, and polar zones. Can you determine what climate zone you live in? Have you ever been in a situation where the weather forecast called for sunny skies, yet it ended up raining all day long? You think, oh, if I only had my umbrella. But you know, guys, the job of predicting weather accurately is a difficult one because our atmosphere, it's constantly changing. You see, in order to predict the weather accurately for the hours and days ahead, weather forecasters must analyze information they receive from a number of sources, including local weather observers, weather balloons, weather stations, and satellites.